Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, as you guys can see, I got the Tamiya Acro Shot finished, a little ahead of schedule. If you watched the unboxing video, I said, yeah, probably up to a month, a few weeks. I think it's been a little over a week and I got it all done. A little more extra time lately here than I anticipated. So I put several hours in each evening and got this finished. Now, this being two-wheel drive, of course, it was a little easier to build than four-wheel drive, so you don't have to put together two gearboxes. So it was a pretty straightforward build, probably one of the easiest builds that I've done. I had very little problems with anything. Usually you encounter a few problems when you work on these Tamiya kits. Nothing major, but this one was real straightforward. Now the paint scheme here is a little bit different. As you can see, it's all black. I had the correct paints, the gunmetal, the black, and the smoke for the windows. I encountered some paint problems. Really frustrating. Some of my masking bled through. That's my fault from just not getting it down or overlapped enough. So when I was painting the black section here on the rear, some of it bled through on the top, and I was like, oh geez. You're supposed to then mask that off, then do gunmetal after the black, and then after that you do the windows last, because they give you masking cutouts that are pre-cut for the windows. So I thought, you know what, I can just go all black on it because I think the decals match good enough. But I was going to still use the smoke, which I have those paints behind me here, and with some of the other ones. And I was going to go ahead and smoke the windows that lighter tint to make it look a little more like a tinted windows. So I went to, I painted it all black, let it dry about an hour, and then I took the masking off and I was going to paint the windows of smoke, but I sprayed them on, and it was around 50 degrees, and that's sort of the coldest temperature you're supposed to use the spray paint in. So it's probably a factor. I kind of got some blobs and stuff. It looked bad. So I went to wipe off some of the paint because it was very wet still. I was just going to reapply it. And when I did that, it started taking the black paint right off the top of the car. Like it was acting like paint thinner. It was just crazy. It was wiping the black paint off the body. So anyway, I was like, at that point, screw it. You know, I just want to save this body. I don't want to ruin it. So I just shot the whole thing black, again, to fix the spots where it had wiped it off. And then, the windows as well. So now we got sort of have a limo tint, including the front. But overall, I think it looks good. I obviously wanted to go with the correct colors. But the decals have some of that gunmetal in them in the color scheme. I didn't put the black decal here because why? Because it's already black. That's to go over the gunmetal. Otherwise, I pretty much use all the decals. And again, I think it looks pretty good. It's just not exactly what I wanted to do. But yeah, besides the paint problems, everything else was fine. So I did go ahead and run the antenna through and drill that out. And I am running the antenna up into it. I don't always do that because, on these 2.4 gigahertz systems, the antennas don't seem to be as big of a deal as the old analog 900 megahertz, I think those were. But let's go ahead and look underneath the body here, and you guys can see the finished product here. The LiPo pack I use here fits right down where a nickel cadmium or nickel monohydrate pack would go. You just need to take those little foam pieces out. They put like some foam pads on each end, and if you take those out on one end here, then the pack will fit in there. If you leave them in, it just won't quite fit. So one of these standard hard packs, this is a 30C 3500 milliamp hour 2S LiPo. I'm just sticking to 2S. And then of course you can see how I mounted electronics. Again, this is a budget brushless system just for bashing and having fun. So I decided not to go with the the Tamiya ESC and the brushed motor. I was debating it. I want to see how this budget kit does. If it didn't do good, I was going to go with the RS540 Mabuchi torque-tuned motor that comes with it. But it all mounted great on the back here. I was able to even mount the on and off switch that comes attached to this ESC, just where the Tamiya recommends you to install the one for the Hobby Wing. Was it 1060, I think, brushed ESC that comes with this car. But yeah, I think it worked out real well. Mounting that here, this is a 60 amp, it's 2 and 3S compatible. And then underneath it in the front here is where I put the receiver. I just used this DHK I had laying around, controller and receiver that came out of the DHK Maximus that I swapped the radio link TXRX into that because it had the built-in gyro. It really helps keep that truck in a straight line. But yeah, I mounted underneath here, and then I went ahead and put the dust cover they give you that comes with this. So I mounted that on there, and it looks really clean. Ran the antenna. It only goes part of the way up here, and of course I shortened the antenna. And then the motor here again is a 3650 size, a 3600 kV. It's a red and black. Again, this is all budget stuff, but it works fine. You're always gonna get a little cogging. It depends on your gearing ratios, and I didn't notice too much or a little bit. It's just not super slow, super fast off the gun. It's not really even that super fast top speed on this. I didn't do a speed test yet. I'm thinking somewhere around 20 miles an hour. These on-road tires, they do tend to still break loose, you could say, with the pavement. So it will spin out as you accelerate. And again, it's kind of thankfully good that it doesn't take off really quick, because I think you would just constantly be spinning out. But whenever you just tap the brakes, it's you know. Now this ESC doesn't work with the program card I have, so I could probably have adjusted that. The one I had worked with those little budget off-brand blue ones, but I don't know which I would like to have one that works with these, so I could adjust the ESC braking and stuff like that. But otherwise, yeah, I mean the shocks seem pretty good. Now Tamiya's plastic shocks are always good. They don't leak and they work quite well. It's just a matter of getting the right weight oils, the right tension of springs. I've got several spacers in on these on the front and back. The back is still a little sluggish. Now you can't tell it here. I'd have to take it off of the stand. You can see it kind of sink down there, and it doesn't really recover as well. So it'll come up some, of course, whenever you accelerate the car, but ideally you want more tension or a different weight oil in here to so the shocks are more bounce back better. So it comes with that yellow, I think it's a soft, all of them come just about with this same Tamiya soft damper oil here, so that's what you use in it, but you can use some different ones on it. But otherwise I think the shocks work fine otherwise on this car. Let's see what else. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really see too much else to discuss on this. The electronics were pretty straightforward. I got this servo mounted in here. It was really nice servo I picked up from eBay, and I think it seems really quick and responsive, and plenty enough torque for these for this size system. With these tires really losing contact easily, you could go with some different tires. This being two-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, it does, it's going to tend to peel out or donut a little easier than a four-wheel drive. But you could put like the Blitzer Beetle here, its wheels and tires that fit right on here, and you can throw those on and go off-road, because these are not going to be good for off-road. But even these tires, even though these are little knobby ones made for the dirt, they might not spin out as easily on the pavement than these tires on here right now. But yeah, a pretty straightforward build. Like I said, no issues at all. So I already filmed the drive review. We'll get outside to do that. You guys can see. So we're the quick review outside. I like to ease these kits in at first, because you don't want to take this out and bash it hardcore, because you don't know, what if you're building it and you just didn't get something tightened and you thought you did. Something comes loose, so you just want to check it, make sure that everything seems to be working well on this guy. But end of the day, this thing looks spectacular, and it was a whole lot of fun to build and a real breeze to build this. So let's get outside now and show you guys a little bit of it driving on the road. So I'll be right back. All right, guys, let's get the Acro Shot out here and just do a little test run from my house. This isn't going to be any kind of comprehensive test drive. Very, very brief. I like to give my Tamiya kits just a real brief first run and make sure everything seems tidy and nothing's loose. Because you assemble one of these, you don't want to take it hard bashing right off the bat. With this having a 3600 kV brushless budget system in here, And I did do a very, very brief little run the other night before I got the body painted and such, which if you saw the beginning, you know the ordeal I had with the painting. But I did take a brief run just to make sure that it went forward and back and all that stuff. And there's a little cogging as you expect. You know, a lot of that comes down to the gearing combined with the brushless, sensorless system like this that this has in it, which is a lot less expensive than a censored system. Let's just toss it down here. Now, I do think the shocks probably need a different weight of oil, really, especially in the back, or maybe a different different kind of spring, because the back does sag a bit. Now, the thing you're going to notice here immediately, that I noticed the other day, is, especially when I get off on the road here, these wheels are going to break loose from the pavement. It just spins out constantly, and even whenever you let off or try to brake a little bit, it just spins in circles. So, you know, these tires, despite being on road, they just aren't the best traction on this pavement. It just really breaks loose at times. So as you can see right there. Now, some of that's also because of course it's two-wheel drive. You can see there, it's just spinning out a lot. So it looks like we might need a little bit of steering. Let's see, the steering trim right here. I'm using the DHK Maximus control. I was sitting around because I swapped the radial link into the DHK Maximus because of the gyro. Yeah, it was along pretty good. Again, I'm not looking for something crazy fast. It's not too bad. I'd say it's probably somewhere in the 20, 25 maybe. Let's get out of the road here. The car's coming. Now you can go with a 19 tooth on this, I believe it was, and this was using the 17, so that'll also affect top speed and such. But yeah, it's quick enough. I don't need something crazy fast. And these to me is, if you you know, you get going really quick with one of these and you hit something. With this, with the type of plastics and such they use, you're gonna bust it pretty easy is what I'm getting at. So, but they look fantastic. And this one, as you can see, like it spins out as soon as I sort of lay off the brake, lay on the brake just slightly, or just whenever you just barely tap it there, it spins out. But I'm real happy with it. I mean, it seems to work real well, handle well whenever the tires aren't sliding. And being the all black, as you guys know, as you watched the beginning of the video, the paint ordeals that I had, a lot of it my fault, some of it's some weird paint issues, but I was using Tamiya's paint, so some of that was my fault too, from just not getting working in borderline temperatures, you know, around 50 degrees. Of course, this does have full fast eddy steel ball bearings. That just makes it so much more efficient, faster, and a longer run time. And that 2S LiPo, I got a hard pack out of my HSP buggy. They're all the same size, just different capacities. And that just fits in there perfect. All you gotta do is just don't put a couple of those foam inserts in the front that they have you do in the very first step when you're building this truck. And it fits right in there. With the foam inserts, it doesn't want to fit, because obviously they are, in traditional Tamiya style, they are assuming you're going to use a 6-cell NiCad pack, or nickel metal hydride pack in there. But as you know, a lot of us have moved on to LiPos and lithium ions now. And it does come with that sport, it's actually, I think, a torque tuned brushed motor. And that's fine. I mean, but this thing's easy running well enough on the brushless, so I'm just gonna probably leave it this. Acceleration again on 17 tooth, it's not great. but we're not building this to race anybody. I have no problems with this cheap budget system. I'm just gonna stick on 2S. It could do 3S, the 60 amp ESC, despite being this, this budget ones. You see Google RC and Surpass Hobby and quite a few brands, including the one that I don't even know what this one was, sell this same rebranded one, and it works fine. And it can definitely handle 3S. I've run 3S on them. But you're getting pretty quick, and with these tires on this truck, you're gonna have them, it's gonna be near impossible to keep it on the pavement. It's just gonna be slipping and sliding everywhere. Put some different tires on these, or different rims and tires. This thing would be really nice off-road. I think Pete Wiley RC, I ran across some of his videos. I've seen him around, and he did a video on this a couple years ago where he just threw the Blitzer Beetle orange wheels on with its tires, because they're the same. That one works. That worked real well for him off-road. So I think that would be a good option for you guys if you guys are interested in looking for some different off-road tires. If you have a Blitzer Beetle ramp, you can always throw a set of those on, and that'll be just fine. So yeah, this thing looks great, I think, and real happy with the end result, despite the paint fiasco. All right, guys, that wraps up the video on the Tamiya Acro Shot. Again, yeah, this is a lot of fun, and I'm really glad I was able to get hands on this, and big thanks to Adam over at Adam's Playground for pointing out this deal since I was able to get the last one. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, you like this content, please consider subscribing. I try to do as much Tamiya stuff as I can. I'm not dedicated to them, but I've done, several last year. I've tried to do a couple kits every year. While you're at it, click that bell. That way you're notified every time that I do upload a new video. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.
The power of the dark side.